Three, four. All right. Um, Hopefully my internet lasts, so we'll figure that one out. Um, yeah, I'm live again. Yay. Um, the uh, the download from 2 days ago actually took 2 days to to upload since I had a um, you know weather conditions outside and all sorts of craziness, and I couldn't even get the live stream to go up. So I actually just recorded it and then tried to directly connect, and bad internet, and that's not good for a live stream because it was pretty horrendous. Yeah, it took 26 hours to upload just that one video, and I'm still amazed that it took that long for a 30-minute video. So let's do this. Uh, yeah, Coco had her last stream, and it was very sad. And um, I wish my Japanese was better. Um, Understanding anime is a little bit easier because people don't speak as quickly. Um, and they tend to use scripts seem to be very similar to what they're saying, so it's very repetitive. And I kind of thought that my Japanese was actually pretty good since my college days. And I realized watching the stream that I was understanding like every other word, and I didn't have subtitles to lean back on. Which, if you do get a chance to, if you look up Coco, um, I think that they're probably uploaded some of the highlights from her graduation stream. And like I said, I I kind of laugh that I feel like I'm at the bottom rung on as far as being a YouTuber goes, and um, I don't know if I would want to be put on such a high tier like she was. And I know she had some protection because she was a VTuber, and I originally I was going to create an avatar and do not show my face. And I was going to actually pretend I was a lot younger than I am, and basically just make everything fake. And so I think I'm going to probably do a focus on communities and families and what brings us together, what tears us apart. And I know that I have talked very briefly on the fact that most organizations um, I am not. Uh, I I've never felt like I've belonged or been a part of. I think I was present in certain things. I did certain things. I was a part of. I think I was semi memorable, which is like that seems to be my goal with everything that I've done in my life. Is just to plant that memory. But as time passes, I'm slowly slowly but surely forgotten. I talked about the bros in the last video, and I wanted to delve deeper into that, but it's not worth it. I think that my metaphor pretty much sums up um, how um, I feel like when I'm interacting with people, and I like to think that I am, a giver, more of a giver than a taker. But I have to admit that I do take a lot. You know, uh, your time. Anybody who's watching this, obviously, I'm taking your time from you. So, and I want you to know that I understand that value. Um, the I realize that the one dislike that I keep getting for all my videos. I mean, if you search back, actually all the unscripted right on from the start have all been disliked, and I've kind of made fun of them. I've kind of said things at the beginning of the video so that I can catch the few seconds that they're on, but it's become very, very apparent um, that it's a program, um, and it's a bot, and whoever created it, I mean, they're just an asshole, and there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can change it. It it doesn't. That's the sad thing about um, the dislike is it just basically is meant to upset. I guess it's just designed to upset me because there's no I have nothing more to go on in fact except the fact that they constantly go in for about 4 seconds and dislike the video and are out. And you know if they were a real person, they would realize that they need to change up that pattern a little bit or do something like that. And that's the reason why I'm pretty sure it's just a stupid bot, and it's a program created by somebody to do exactly that. Um, and if I was monetized, maybe they would probably have to have a whole system of bots coming in there to dislike a bunch of videos, but I don't get any likes, so you see the dislike. I can see the whole thing. I can run the whole gambit on everybody who sees my videos because I don't get. I'm lucky I get 10 views total, and out of the 10 views, it's not difficult to figure out how, when the dislike. I know exactly when all this stuff happens. It's pretty methodical. Because I've been staggering my these videos when they come out. It's I can tell when what time they actually do a search for me and when they find the video. Um, like here I am doing one early in the morning, and I know that probably around 7 o'clock tonight, um, I will ping up onto their radar and they will click on it and click the dislike and leave. And I just I just don't know. Like it doesn't serve any purpose. It doesn't if I was monetized, it wouldn't, take away any of the money that I would be making. It doesn't do the dislike doesn't do anything. And I am coming to terms with the fact that that's what they want to do. I had a bunch of loud noises when this first started, when I first picked up the bot, um, uh, that they just systematically disliked it. And if those would have been a more difficult way to find out like how long they. I think there was one video where I said they were on for 10 seconds. Nope, they were on for the right amount of time of 4 seconds. And that was a little bit more difficult because I wasn't aware of it at the time, and they loud noises definitely gets more views than That's like unscripted. You know, the last one has 6 views. Before that, like I said, they don't even break 10 views total. So I can count. I can actually watch the rhythm and count what time that the dislike even comes in. I mean, it's not even point one. It's just a blip on my timesheet. And also, these videos tend to be a lot longer than the loud noises, so it's the blip. You can actually see where that blip. It's I guess that doesn't matter. But let's talk about the communities. I would never belong to an organization that systemically goes against my beliefs, um, that worships blindly, which pretty much puts all religious organizations into this category, um, and not necessarily a deity. Worshiping a deity, that's fine. That's what people do. It's a personal thing. I totally understand that. But when the worship becomes the preacher or your teacher or your guide or something else, that you elevate them beyond the status of being a fellow human being, your leader, if it needs a leader in the organization, but the person basically that's meant to help you, if you worship them blindly, and take everything that they say as if you don't challenge, if you're not challenging them, and you're basically just following them. And the reason I say that with this is because I see this happening um, in just about every fan. It's the same thing with every fan base. I guess if you can consider like the show or the game or something like that as the deity-esque thing that doesn't have, that maybe controls your life in some sort of, or has an effect on your life in some sort. But once you get into where, people are the leaders of that, and I mean, you can even bring up sports and stuff like that, where instead of it being the game, it's the player. Um, People like Michael Jordan and stuff like that are basically worshipped as gods almost, and nothing that they, complete. Here's this flawed human being that does something amazing. Does their job amazingly, and because they do their job amazingly, everybody thinks that everything else in their life is perfect. And I I not struggle with that, but I my brain just doesn't. I'm not a follower, so maybe that's really where it boils down to. Where I don't, I listen, I apply, but necessarily following, I you know I know I make fun of the fact that I march to the beat of my own drum. I follow my own path. I do all that stuff, but I do listen. I do hear what people, what other people have to say and what they interject. Where I struggle with is like I wouldn't want anybody to worship me in the same respect. I want, like my subscribers, everybody who's subscribed, I wish they would watch my videos more, but my 21 subscribers, I don't see them as, just people who are following me or people who have subscribed to my channel. They're not that. They have input, they have, um, they add value to the videos that I make. It's important. And it's, they have an important voice even on my channel, like this, you know, you could always say that this channel is all about me, but there's a it's I have another character, if you want to call them a character, which would be my subscribers, and then you have a third character, which would be the people who just basically come in and view it, and they're not just I should say characters. I have all these characters, 21 characters is a lot of characters to deal with, in my opinion, and then I have like I think I have like a close to 200 unique views of people who come in and grace themselves with this. And of course, even the stupid bot is a character, is a character for my channel. You know, it, I wouldn't say that they have, any add value, but they are definitely diminishing returns. But it, you know, I'm talking about them, so that's where that's important. That's where the importance comes in. And if that's what people, the person who wrote that program to just dislike my page, if that's the most important thing that they can be to my channel, is just basically a diminisher, then that's what they want. I talk about bullies and stuff like that, and I bully to me is basically my catch-all, because even I'm a bully sometimes. And so when I say I don't like bullies, I don't like it when I bully. I don't like it when this thing. When you are not lifting people up, or when I'm not lifting people up, I'm a bully. It's literally boils down to that. When I want to take away, when somebody has something that I want, and if they're not giving it to me and I take it from them, I'm a bully. That's really what it all boils down to. It's very simple, and you apply it to everything. Bill Cosby just got released from jail, but that man was a bully. Horrible, because he took from people without their permission. And he didn't go do it the right way. And maybe it's the thrill of it, or people have thrills and stuff like that, and everything like that. But you know, I I talk about my own bullying that I do, and my own bullying. I try to put myself. I try to I called it justified bullying. So I try to justify the fact that I'm going to bully people who bully other people, and that's bad too. That's not. I wouldn't. You can't. Everything has its own level of seriousness, and sometimes you have to take the good with the bad, and you also can't. I I keep saying me, me. It's when I'm being bullied. It's like, how much can I take? How much am I allowed to take? How much should I be a part of that? And then, do I fight or do I flight? And my first answer to everything with that, when you're dealing with a bully, is remove yourself from that situation, because the only thing that could happen from it is is a fight. And no matter what fight you have, and this is why I say about losing every fight, like how I never want to fight. No matter what happens, you're already hurt. Before the fight even starts, you're already hurt by something. And if it becomes a physical, for verbal fights, same thing. Before that fight starts, I'm already hurt. I've already lost before the fight even starts. And the only way to win that fight, to win that argument, not the, forget changing their minds. I could care less about what the person thinks and how they're going, how they can become a better person. They're an awful person. Why would I want to subject myself to trying to change their minds? It's the reason why I tend to fight, verbally or physically, with people that I respect and people that I have, that because I want them to change. I want them to see where I'm coming from. I want them to know that they're hurting me. People who I don't care about, which is vast majority of people in this world. But the people I don't care about, if they're a bully, I just toss them into the. I not only do I not care about them, but I do not want to be a helper to them, and I do not want to help people that bully me. I do not want to make their lives better. And I know people bring up the whole thing about, oh, it's you. Forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. You're forgiving them. No, it's not. No. If you forgive somebody and I'm not talking about if I forgive somebody, and I'm not talking about that fake forgiveness where you basically let things freaking, you're just letting it slide, um, and not accepting it. A true forgiveness means that you accept what they did to you as part of who they are, and not only do you accept it, they will do it again, and you've got to accept that as well. And I've never accepted that. I will never accept something like that. So I do not forgive people. It's like when somebody says they're sorry. Well, my nana told me, don't be sorry, be better. You know, there's no reason to apologize. Don't do it. Don't do the things that you're going to be sorry for later. And I try not to apologize. I try to just make it better. And um, I try not to hurt people. I'm I think I have a lot of empathy because I always try to put myself into another person's shoes and try to see where they're coming from. And that's a dangerous thing for me because um, I basically have been fighting with people all my life. Everything that I do, I've been fighting for my. And if I can see myself in their shoes and I can see where they're coming from, I know how to attack it. I know where they're weakest. Um, and that's usually bad. I swear I'm going to get back to what I mean by the communities and you know being a part of an organization or anything like that, because I definitely see that my even the people who haven't just subscribed and the people who are basically just coming in, breezing in and breezing back out again, and it could be a lot of the same people. That's why when I say there's 200 views that are not subscribers, those 200 views could be people, could be the same person. It could only be like 20 people. I could only have 40 people gracing themselves with their presence and gracing themselves back out. Like I said, I know that every video that I have, and I know I said I had 200 videos. I don't have 200 videos yet. I'm close to 200 videos. But out of all the videos that I've made so far, you know, um, about 60 of them, 60 of those videos, that bot has been present in them, and I just I don't know. And they count as 60 views, 60 separate views. Only subscribers count as the subscribers. And I have a subscriber count, so I know exactly when my subscribers are actually watching, and it's often enough. I'm definitely not getting. Um, Obviously, if I have 21 subscribers and I'm getting less than 10 views per video, obviously all my subscribers aren't watching all my videos. I think I have one or two subscribers that basically watch everything that I produce, but they tend to not watch all of it. So I mean, like it's like the last video, the 30-minute video that I just did. No subscribers have even watched those videos. So and it would be difficult for me to figure out when the subscriber um, how the duration of the subscriber. actually watched the video. I just know that the bot is not subscribed, so he's a unique view. I definitely have more dislikes now than I have likes, and that's kind of concerning. But again, doesn't affect you know doesn't affect one, I'm not monetized, so it doesn't affect the money because there's no money to be made. And two, even if I was monetized, likes and dislikes means nothing. Really, it means absolutely nothing. Number of subscribers you have means nothing to the YouTube algorithm. Means nothing. It's duration, and the more time that people spend watching your videos, especially to completion, um, the more times I'm recommended. So people who watch my videos for a couple of seconds or less than a minute, any video, if you watch for less than a minute, I don't get recommended later. Which means somebody has to actually search. The bot has to actually search me after a while because um, he's watching for so little that I'm probably not even on his list of videos that he watches because he dislikes it. Yeah, dislikes actually takes drops it. Will drop my videos from your path, and so it's definitely a program. Um, and of course, consistency. Everybody talks about like how I should stay consistent. And I picked up the bot being consistent. That's how they found me. Because I was doing a video every day at 3 o'clock, regardless, and they were set. Um, you know, almost immediately at 3 o'clock. And like I said, they don't they don't know when I'm going to actually post videos because I'm not consistent anymore. So it's now around 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. that the bot comes in and does his little check. But it might also still be at 3 o'clock. So in a couple hours, find out if they pop in and pop back out again. I am. But that's the community that I'm building, and there's a lot of how tos. In fact, more than I care to even watch. When I was learning, how to get people to watch the videos and things like that, when I was starting to do that, nonsense, the only thing that they promised is subscribers, and I am not anywhere near because subscribers are great, but subscribers has it has to have 4 hours per subscriber in order going to the how the algorithm works. I would have to have, doesn't need to be subscribers watching, but I would have to have um, 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of those subscribers needs to watch 4 hours of the videos. And like I said, well, it has to equal 4 hours per subscriber. And that's just to get monetized. That's just to get a couple freaking, a tiny little paycheck in a month, just to get the ball rolling. And I, I think somebody said that it's like $20. So for the minimum to be monetized in 1 month, I'm looking at $20, and to not have um, toxicity You can keep the $20. I'd rather not have that. I'd rather have a stronger community, rather build up a stronger community, people with different ideas and different thoughts and different takes on things, and people who agree and people who disagree, and lots of discussions to happen. I would love to roll comments or questions that people have into videos, and talk about them. I've been very reluctant, in a lot of ways, to do some of the no cheats that everybody talks about, and it's not that I'm not, it's not that I don't want to do the no cheats, um, and promote myself, um, uh, because I know that it will get me subscribers and views and all the other things that I need. One of the main reasons that I stay away from, doing the no cheats, um, is, one, it's wrong, and why would I go on somebody else's video and basically self promote myself? That's the stupidest thing in the world. But two, um, that's not the type of viewer that I want. I don't want a viewer to think that here I am, offering, um, you know what I'm giving, um, and that type of thing is okay. I wouldn't want people to come in and advertise their crap on my page. Why the hell would I want? Why the hell would I think it would be okay for me to do that to somebody else? Again, it goes into the give and take. You know, um, it's also one of the reasons why I promote, other pages, especially when I'm using their music, or I'm talking about them, or I they're a part of, the landscape in my videos. I will definitely give them a link. I will definitely, and if they want me to link something else, I will even offer that. But as far as the reverse, if they're offering it to me, I will definitely take them up on the offer. Um, if somebody likes my videos, I have, um, you know, sang about a lot of things, and I have, a lot of musical artists that I've done either parodies or covers of. And if they want to use me as a bad example and stuff like that, feel free to promote my site, and however you want to do it. It is what it is. I'm struggling just like everybody else in that. But if you don't promote my site, I I I can't say anything about it. It is what it is. Um, what I'm saying is, you can if you want to. I would be grateful if you did, but uh, my gratitude, especially to people who, have thousands of viewers, millions of viewers. Um, you know, they don't need to be promoting me, so, um, why would they give a shit? And I totally understand that. Um, if I ever become that, um, I would like to think that I could, lift people. I'd rather lift people up than basically, be a taker. If I'm using something that they created, I would love love to promote it more. Um, and that's why I've set that standard for me now, and not I'm not gonna, why would I change that, because that goes right into the way my philosophies work and the way my thinking works. But yeah, being a part of communities and stuff like that, and things, the I think the best way to put it is that, um, well, if there's any hate being promoted, any dislike, any blame, that people put on other people. I don't want to be a part of that organization. Um, and if it's doctrine that way, those organizations are out. But it also, how I'm treated is, when I look at what the LGBTQRSC, ARB, whatever it is now, and again, the alphabet soup, um, the LGBT community, I love the philosophy. Love the philosophy. I don't like being labeled. So giving myself one of the you know labels, and I'm definitely not an ally person, so I'm not really your ally. Give me one of the labels, I can give myself any one of those labels, you know, and you know pretend I'm part of their organization or belong to that organization because of my label. One of the problems with the that I found with the LGBT community is that there's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of separateness, self identity in your label, um, for the rest of the organization. So if you are one of the, if you do identify as any one of the letters, you are separate. You're not really, everybody puts the LGBT community as one thing, and it's really not. It is, L G B T Q. Those are all separate organizations. They don't really intermix with each other. And people say, oh, but they all belong. No, you know, pride parades tend to be for one of them. Um, Bars or clubs, or even dance halls and stuff like that tend to be just for one. They don't tend to be an all-encompassing, welcoming thing. And it seems like, oh, well, we all belong together. That's why we have a rainbow flag. A rainbow flag that represents, all spectrums and everything like that. And you know, it just, it goes into like the ally thing. I'm not welcome. I'm not welcome to belong to your organization. Why would I want to be like an ally? I'll support the ideals that I have, that you share. That's it. But does not make me your ally. Does not make me. I don't belong to your organization. Using things like, as much as I want to strengthen Black Lives Matters. Um, and I'm with you guys and that stuff. I don't belong to that organization. And again, because I'm not allowed to belong, why would I be an ally with somebody who with an organization that looks to me as an outsider? That whole ally thing just kind of gets like strange in that respect. Yes, I will share the ideals. I will share the equal treatment, um, that you know that not only the rules should apply that benefit a person based on their skin color. It should apply to the the ones that benefit. I've got to say this correctly. The rules that apply, that benefit only a certain section of the American public, um, while there's other rules that don't apply, which gives that privilege thing. There are rules that apply as a detriment to people based on their skin color, as well as other rules that don't seem to apply. And the one of the biggest differences, and it has nothing to do with skin color, is the treatment by our society is all based on how much money you give, how much money you spend, to protect yourself. And it literally is if these groups just had more money, they would protect themselves. um, the law enforcement agencies, all of them, not just police, but all law enforcement agencies would not do stupid things like kill people in the street if they knew not only that they were being um, photographed, but if they knew that there will be severe consequences each time something like that happens. Because this is the reason why rich people, um, people with money, aren't faced with those problems. You aren't having their front doors kicked in, because if law enforcement kicks down their front door, there will be severe consequences to that agency, no matter which branch of the law enforcement that they are. There would be severe consequences for somebody who can afford the proper lawyer, the proper way, the proper everything. There would be consequences for those law, and that's the reason why they don't do it. That's the reason why it's not equal treatment, for people without money. And the reason that I've always felt, the reason that it's Black Lives Matter, not All Lives Matter, or whatever, whatever you want. The reason that the Black Lives Matters was chosen was not based on people, identifying as being black or being white, it's not an anti-white organization. The reason that it is because our society is built to see a person's skin color and determine that they are poor. And since they are poor, it's okay to treat them like animals. And I very much against that. I, people, culture, their belief systems, their religious beliefs, and all that stuff, all that stuff that makes up the community of people who identify themselves as black, um, is special. It should be treated as special, and it should enrich everybody's lives just because it exists. I mean, rock and roll wouldn't be what it is, blues wouldn't be what it is without that culture already there, based on it. I mean, why would we want to diminish it from the greatness that it is? So I respect how people identify themselves, and I respect people need labels to be that way. But when the label becomes a detriment, that's when I have a problem. And then when you know it's that's a thing. But because here I am, when they see me, I'm labeled by them as white. I'm labeled by them as male. I'm labeled by people as these things. I don't care about those labels myself personally. That's why I don't. I have what's known as white privilege, but I do my best, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it in any way, shape, or form. But I do my best to treat everybody, no matter the color of their skin or their beliefs, equally. Um, and there's bad apples in no matter what label a person has. So that's where I get into where or why I never feel like I belong. It's not the good people in these organizations. Um, uh, I hope I don't know if I can say his name, but I'm going to just say his name. One of my dear friends and biggest spiritual guy, spiritual guides in life um, was Father Angelo, who passed, and um, he was part of the Franciscan order, which is part of the Roman Catholicism hierarchy of you know where the Vatican and Italy is all all the rage and stuff like that. And um, I like the fact that one of the reasons why we became good friends and one of the reasons why I accepted his guidance is because he never, not even for a second, the entire time I've known him, foisted his beliefs or forced try to force his beliefs as the truth. In fact, he spent a lot of time with me discussing where my beliefs are and where my beliefs can grow, and you know my it's how why I don't consider myself an atheist, because I don't believe that crap either. Um, and our discussions, not really, I wouldn't even say that they were arguments or fights or anything like that, but our discussions were you know very in depth. And you know I definitely think that I challenged him in his faith as much as he built, helped build up my faith in things. Um, because my faith in humanity was severely lacking. Still is, but that's a whole nother thing. But it's different. But yeah, and going into atheism, it's not that I don't believe that there is no God. I just believe that whoever I worship is not um, one what I believe it is. Um, I don't know what it is, and somebody once said, if God comes down, and would I would tell God to his face, like, you never believed in me. Why should I ever believe in you? And I still wouldn't believe in you as my God. You can be everybody else's God, but you're not mine. I'm not your child. you know as far as salvation, I don't know what's in store. I don't think that I don't think me challenging whatever any belief system out there for salvation, because that's all they are to me. They're not what you do today. They're what you build for your future in salvation, and it's not how you treat people today, because you can always just ask for forgiveness. You can always be absolved of your wrongdoings, as opposed to um, making recompense, and you know fixing the problems that you caused. You're just forgiven, and then you're allowed in. I talked about a horrible person I worked with. Very religious, and you know what? Based on her belief system, she's going to be a horrible person till the day she dies, and she probably will be absolved of all the wrongdoing. The wrong, I'm, I don't even care what she does to everybody else in the world. Just the singular wrongdoing that she's done, I feel that she's done to me. The recompense, the damage, um, the and with time, the damage has even festered. So it's not, how, like, people are talking about forgiving her and stuff like that. Why why would I forgive her for that? Why would I forgive her for being a horrible person? Let her God forgive her. Let her go to heaven. I know that I don't want to be in the same heaven if it does exist. I'd rather go someplace else. And if she does go to hell, and I go to hell too because I didn't build myself up for salvation, um, at least I know that it won't matter, and I can always not sleep, I guess, but whatever, in my eternal suffering, know that she's suffering and she was wrong, and I will laugh. And if I run into her, I will laugh at her. I don't think it's hysterical. All that work for what? Nothing. And if she's not there, so much the better. So, with me going to hell, I don't believe in that either. Um, as far as you know, everything else, when I was in Boy Scouts, another organization that I didn't feel like I belonged to, but when I was in Boy Scouts, um, the one thing that was always made very clear is not leave things how you found them, leave it better, leave it better than you found it. If somebody left plastic bottles and garbage around before you got there, clean it up, leave it better, leave it better than you found it. Nature has a way of cleaning itself up. Help, be helpful. That's how I've always been, and I like that. I like to think that any any room, let's just call everything a room instead of just an environment. But any room that I've left, I'd like to think that I have left it, you know, I've left it better than when I came in. And you can get into the fact that sometimes I leave dirty dishes or stuff like that in some rooms, but um, I forget to clean up after myself because I'm a messy person. Um, in general, I think like the thing that I've left when I'm not when I was there. Before I got there, it was in a certain state. When I was there, I interacted, and when I left it better. Every job that I've ever had, and I've had a lot of them, I would like to think that whatever happened after I was gone, I left it. I left it in better shape than when I was there. Didn't leave it damaging. Didn't damage stuff, and for the most part, I I felt with most jobs, I felt that I was more of a hindrance to the daily operations than a help. And by removing myself from that job, that hindrance is gone. And whatever happened after I left, not necessarily did I leave a mark on it, but I left it better than when I was there. That is kind of kind of a philosophy that I've had. Um, I've been part of so many things. Gaming communities. I've been a part of a lot of them. I talk about my feelings towards um, a certain one that's in England. That you know, I, the truth is that I picked the one faction that they kind of crapped on all the time. Picked the one faction that they ignored and never gave love to. Didn't That wasn't by mistake. That was designed because they didn't care about it at all, and it allowed me to basically explore my creativity, build things that I wanted to build. Um, it not as effective as some of the other factions and groups. Armies, if you want to call them armies, not as effective as them. And probably lost more games than I won, and pretty much par for the course, as it were. But those were the most fun. Later, um, not when I first quit the game, but when I came back, I quit the game when they basically just destroyed their entire game for two full editions. They just literally just they not only destroyed the game in one edition, but they doubled down for the next one. And after they doubled down, it was just like going, what is left? And the company realized that they couldn't sustain such a horrendous destruction of their own game, that they tried to rein it back in. And the truth is that it was like they went out of their way to give my faction um, love and attention, and they started to build it like all the other factions. In my mind, everything's the same. They're all the same. They you could actually pinpoint how each of them are the same, because they treat each one the exact same way, and just give it a different name, or have different models in the game. But the truth of the matter is that they're all just the same. You can build any one of those armies. You can use the exact same method, whatever your fighting style is. You can pick any faction. And the faction that I had, which, like I said, they gave no love to, and basically a subpar faction comparatively, because over their dominant one, they've gone ahead and after spending a year with this latest edition, well, not they're on another edition that I haven't even delved into yet. But after spending a year playing this game, and I gave it a good college try. But I immersed myself back into it, because one, that's kind of my methodology of doing things. But two, I wanted to leave. If I was going to leave it, I want to leave it with no regrets about the game. I wanted, this is where it's at. And after the year, in fact, I ended up staying 2 extra months by mistake. Um, but after the year, of delving headlong into this game, I realized that it was just basically, I'm spinning wheels and I'm not having fun anymore. And when a game's no longer fun, it's just And the reason I gave it a full year, is because um, I didn't want to have any of those regrets I was just talking about. I didn't want to say, "Oh, this was a temporary thing." Your feelings towards the game, are that's the reason why you feel that way. And you should have waited, a couple weeks, and it would have turned around. And I felt a year, like I said, spent 14 months in it. I felt after a year that it wasn't going to turn around. And with they put out a new release and a new edition with lots of changes and stuff like that. I just looking at it, it's all the same crap. It's the same stuff that I didn't like about this. It's more control and more looking like, and the game looks more like other factions. What nothing makes the faction that I fell in love with in the first place special. And the things that used to make it special are now considered what's known as fluff. It's basically the lore, the background, or the things that they talk about with the game. But pretty much, it's just, if you break it down to what it actually does, the functionality, the randomness that it used to have, and all the other craziness that was going on. I mean, there were games that I played. You know the my opponent didn't even need to have three models on there. I basically lost the game myself because of the random craziness that my faction was. And I've had games where people were playing tournament ready things, and just because of a few lucky, not even a lot of lucky dice rolls, just a few lucky dice rolls, I demolished them. So like that type of thing happening was really good, and it was nice, and I love that about them. Well, they stripped all that out. And now, like I said, it might as well, just you're just using a different model, but you might as well just use those rule books because they're all the same. There's nothing that's different. Same functionalities, same things. They just put a different name at the top of it, but it does the same thing. Enhancements and disenchantments and spells and stuff like that. They're all the same. They're all fitting in with whatever category that they wanted to fit into. Um, and people are talking about like how things are broken with this latest edition, and I was just like going, I don't see it. This faction already has that. That faction already has that. It's just people aren't using it like that. You're using it differently, and all of a sudden, you see that faction just basically spring forward, and it's just like going, might as well be the same as everything else. And I it's one of the reasons why I'm out. And I don't I unless there was a drastic change to bringing the game back to what it was. Um, unless they have that um, drastic change to bring it back where it was, um, I think that I just realized what I did. So you got the microphone. Uh, oh my God, it's probably now blasting your ears out because I forgot to freaking hook my microphone up. Sorry about that. But yeah, your drastic change. I hope I'm not like silent now, but you have this drastic change in unless they do a drastic change in the game and bring it back to what it was, it's the game is just going to basically deteriorate. You might as I could pick one of the groups, any one of those groups, and I can play it like my faction, and with their rule book, not with my faction's rule book. So like what does it offer? It offers nothing. Boring game. So that's why that organization, and I've been a part of Star Trek fandom. I was actually part of Star Trek fandom for many years. Started when I was actually really young, and went to a Star Trek convention. This was back before the movies came out. To tell you how old this is. Now I think maybe it was when motion picture it was because they weren't producing those every year, so it's kind of difficult. I have to remember when I first went to my first Star Trek convention. But it was a long time ago, and I was young. Like I said, I don't even remember how old I was. So, but I thought it was. That was, in fact, I think that was, it was the very first nerd convention that I ever went to in my life. And I think that from that one, I've been chasing that type of high with conventions that I had at the Star Trek convention. And it's like catching lightning in a bottle. It never happened. Never happened again. All conventions after a while just started to deteriorate into nothing. I remember Comic-Con, being absolutely blown away by my first Comic-Con convention, and I think it only had 5,000 people at it in San Diego. And it was in a warehouse. It wasn't even in this, thing. They built a hotel for the freaking convention. I mean, that's how big it's become. And you can't even buy tickets anymore. In fact, if you were going to buy tickets for this year, which is coming up real soon, you would have had to bought them last year at this time. So if you wanted to buy tickets for Comic-Con, you're buying them for next year. That's where it turned into. And like I said, they have like 100,000 people there, and it's kind of like become a mecca. And the only thing about Comic-Con that I don't like is that it seems to be less and less about comic books. I know comic books are kind of, not as popular as they used to be, and it's not a comic book convention anymore. It's a multimedia convention. But my first one, like I said, I thought was absolutely phenomenal. Got to sit and hang out with, writers and artists, and, shoot the breeze and talk about old things and, stories and, this. None of this, like, where you walked into a theater, had to take a seat, and then, it's kind of watching a play as people sat in chairs up on the freaking, front. And, people ask questions by standing in line. How enjoyable is that? It freaking sucks. After standing in the line for, an hour and a half, feeling like you're fortunate to get in, after waiting all that time. And there's people that go to that convention that basically all they've done was sit in lines because they wanted to be in Hall H or whatever the fuck is going on with that. So stupid. But, the convention life, I absolutely adored. Used to go to a horror convention in New Jersey all the time, and it was like lots of things. But I was talking about Star Trek. I think that was my first, and I literally my mind was completely blown away by it, and I don't think I've ever had that experience with a convention since then. I had sponsored conventions. I had work conventions as security. I had work conventions as talent coordinators. I had work conventions as all different sorts of things. So basically every aspect of it, from, visitor a visitor or guest or whatever, buying a ticket to get in, all the way up to, even being the talent itself at a convention. Like I said, Star Trek really started that ball rolling, and I don't think that I'm ever going to see that again. And it's, back in my day. No, not really that. It's just, it is what it is now. But where Star Trek, here I'm mumping everything. Where my Star Trek, my love of Star Trek. Oh, I love Star Trek. Still do. But I got kind of overly involved in it. And like with everything, I think that my passion, to do things and be a part of it, diminished the fun that I was having, or my thing. And when it started becoming really nostalgia, I think I acted up and I self-sabotaged myself, because I am officially kicked out of Star Trek fandom. I am not welcome. And as like I said, I still love the shows. I just don't do the conventions. I don't do any of the fan stuff because um, I'm not a fan, and um, very different than what happened with Star Wars. Star Wars goes a little bit different. In fact, I I always I joked when they actually said that my services were no longer needed, and that I'm out of Star Trek fandom. Like I said, it was mostly me doing it, so I definitely sabotaged myself in that respect. But I joked at the time. I was like going, well, doesn't matter what Star Trek does. At least I'll always have Star Wars. Star Wars fandom was definitely different. We showed up, made costumes, like definitely into the cosplay. We did lots of crazy stuff. People shot short films and things like that, which I was very happy to be a part of. Um, you know, fan videos, and I wrote fan fiction, and I did all those things with Star Wars that loved, and it always seemed that George Lucas kind of welcomed the fans and loved the fans, and even though the prequels were a bit of a disaster, I had never, not even for a second, stopped loving Star Wars. They sold it to Disney. So Lucasfilm is now Disney. And the direction that they decided to take the sequels, they made it very clear that not only am I not welcome, but I'm a man baby, and if I didn't like it, then I'm not a fan. And I didn't like the prequels. I still don't like. I still don't like the prequels, but I can respect what the prequels were. I don't like them. There is nothing to like about them. They have a whole host of fabulous actors, and then a terrible script, and a terrible way to freaking, and a boring, long, almost stilted and wooden performances by even the greatest actors around, who basically appeared there, and it's just awful. Just the prequel's awful. And I might count myself as one of these idiots because I didn't like it is the reason why Lucas sold it to Disney. I mean, I've said this a bunch of times that I'm not the one that caused Lucas to sell it to Disney, but I think I'm part of that group, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I think it was definitely a mistake on Lucas's part. I think that he should get people to direct. Star Wars was saved by his wife, and Empire was saved by, I can't even think of his name at the top of my head, so I'm not even gonna look it up. But Empire Strikes Back, which is I think the best of all of them, and not even just the best of all of them, like nothing comes close to it. The second one, 5 is the best Star Wars movie, and then 4, and Empire Strikes Back is the best, and then A New Hope is the second, is number 2, and they're not even in the same league. It's not, in my opinion, they're nothing alike. And I don't even count, I wouldn't even count the sequels at all, except that they're just when you get to like where you want to just throw them out the freaking window. I mean, Attack of the Killer Clones, which is, in my opinion, the worst of the six. Um, Attack of the Clones is definitely the worst of the six. The three, you know, 7, 8, and 9 are literally just below that. And I would probably I haven't seen Rise of Skywalker. I just know that people have said it's awful, and that's when I stopped watching. Um, Before Rise of Skywalker, I just like going. They don't want my money. They don't want me to be a fan, so it's not even worth it. But let's see, it's um, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker. I would probably say out of the three, it would probably, I guess it's a toss up between Rise and Force Awakens. Force Awakens just, I think it was just a huge missed opportunity that set off that trend. So I think Force Awakens, as hungry as we were for a new Star Wars movie at the time, is the reason why I think it did so well. I would like to think that Rise of Skywalker is at least better than that. And I would like to think that Rise of Skywalker is at least better than Attack of the Clones, number 2. That's, out of the 6, that's just god awful. But I don't know about Rise of Skywalker, so it doesn't go on the list, but I wouldn't put it as better than Attack of the Clones. And then it definitely goes Force Awakens, and the most god awful of all of them is The Last Jedi. And as a non-Star Wars movie, as just a regular movie, I think Galaxy of Terror. And most people don't know that movie. Let's try to think of one that, Aliens Resurrection, maybe. It's worse than that as a standalone movie, but Alien Resurrection also has, a franchise backing it as well. So, I'll think of one that, Galaxy of Terror is one of the most god awful movies, and I think the Galaxy of Terror as a standalone movie is better than Last Jedi, and that's not even bringing up any of the, you wanted to make something that was nothing like, subverting expectation and not utilizing the history, and just basically, destroying the whole concept of what Star Wars was. Well, if you take all that out of it, even Force Awakens out of it, and you just make it as a standalone movie, it's awful. Its pacing is bad. It's just an awful movie, and I'm glad I've only saw it once, because I don't think I could handle, bad movies. Bad movies not done ironically, or not made to be bad, or don't can laugh at their own badness, as it were. But yeah, I don't find it funny. I don't find it cute. I just think that Last Jedi is just that awful, and I never, until now, I have never said what my opinion is on The Last Jedi. I just know that what Rian Johnson said about people who have a bad opinion about Last Jedi, and I was like, I'm out. Solo. which is also a train wreck. But I think Solo is definitely better than Attack of the Clones. So that tells you how bad that I hated Attack of the Clones. But there's definitely worse movies, and I can't think of a worse movie than The Last Jedi, like as a movie. It's bad enough that no matter what Rian Johnson does, I probably will not see any of his work ever. Partly because he doesn't want me as a fan, and partly because I go to movies to enjoy them, not to make political statements. And if I don't enjoy it, you get that. Like I said, I still stand by everything that I said about the prequels. Everything. I do not. My opinion doesn't change just because they're better. Better does not mean good. Better does not even mean watchable. Revenge of the Sith is, out of the 3 prequels, Revenge of the Sith is definitely the best. And I can almost encapsulate all of them in the same way. But Revenge of the Sith is probably the best of the 3. And I probably would, put that on par with Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi definitely has better pacing and a better, pretty much a better story. I think that the Ewoks definitely diminish it a little bit, but not to the point of being worse than Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith has a lot of detriments, a lot of things. Like I said, you get into, I can probably, it's definitely a watchable movie as opposed to the 3. Phantom Menace, I think, is a watchable movie too. But I definitely think that Return of the Jedi is definitely a much better film. So, but I do think that Revenge of the Sith is definitely a much better film. Attack of the Clones is just awful. And you can't take Attack of the Clones out of the prequels without it basically falling apart. Because Revenge of the Sith absolutely depends on Attack of the Clones, even as clunky as it is. And you have to keep it in the series. So one of the things I did like that they did, I mean, it would be darn near impossible for anybody with Star Wars to beat. I mean, A New Hope is awesome, but when they did Empire Strikes Back, that really solidified a lot of things. So well done. Empire is just that well done, and what was it called? I can't even think of it. I can't think of it. I guess it wasn't that important, but I definitely think that it's better than Return of the Jedi. Rogue One. I think Rogue One is better than Return of the Jedi, but not on par with A New Hope. Just better than Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi, I think, was the weakest of the trilogy. But yeah, Empire is just talk about what a great film, and the editing of Star Wars basically saved that movie. Yeah, and Alec Guinness is just, Alec Guinness just, makes the whole thing, form together. And as much as like you talk about how much he hated friggin' Star Wars, I mean, without Alec Guinness, it's basically that crumbles. So yeah, Star Wars: A New Hope is pretty darn good. Um, but yeah, Empire is just the. If you were ever going to be a fan of a movie, yeah, Empire Strikes Back puts it all in perspective. The whole all of Star Wars, you can just watch Empire Strikes Back, and everything else does not matter. That's how good it is. And the heroes lose in the end. Um, but that community, like I said, that was my choice. Like the miniature gaming that I was playing before. That was definitely my choice to not, well, I was told I didn't belong, so why would I want to be someplace where I don't belong? Do I want to change their ideals and where the direction that Star Wars is going in? No. They're obviously, I'm not making billions of dollars. I mean, so they're obviously doing something right. So let them have it. I don't have to like it. And again, bringing up the TV shows like Bad Batch. Let's see what you got. You got Bad Batch, Clone Wars, and the one after the Clone Wars. I can't even think of it. And you also have the Mandalorian, which out of all of them, the Mandalorian is far superior. I don't know what's going to happen with Star Wars, but Mandalorian was good enough that I basically stopped my protest of Star Wars and watched it. So that's how good it is. If I had to compare it again, New Hope, and then of course there's far superior Empire Strikes Back, definitely, hands down. Hands down, far superior to Mandalorian. Season 2, not as good as season 1, but it is what it is. Slowly, we're watching the slowly diminishing, and it is what it is. Trying to think of what other organizations I was part of. My current job, part of an organization that I don't feel like I belong to. They've pretty much done they pulled out all stops and every trick in the book to get me to quit. And if I did not need the money, that's the only reason I do my job. If I did not need the money, if I did not need to make an income, I would definitely quit. Definitely be gone. There is nothing left that I'm attached to or want to be helpful in any way other than as a way to generate money for myself. That's what my job is. the YouTube communities have been hit and miss. I think I mentioned religious organizations, right? And why I don't want to belong to them. So let's move on to the things that I actually care about. So I've definitely I've dabbled in a lot of things. Tried my hand at stuff. Magician, stand up. My singing from here, which I never. This is the only place that I've ever really done singing, but you know how well that goes. And I was tempted. I even wrote it out. I was about to just sing it and have another song for Coco, and and it really boiled down to the fact that my internet was such crap 2 days ago, that just boiled down to that is the reason why I did not do it. I did for Coco's last day. I wanted to have it ready and up. And that's the reason why the video, that's the main reason why the video was so short, is because I was going to turn around and actually sing the song. And, after taking 26 hours to upload, there was no reason. I was literally waiting for it to upload so I can sing the song. But to give you a hint of what it was, and maybe I'll publish the lyrics one of these days, or post the lyrics one of these days. Coco's song was going to be based on the Gorillaz' Feel Good, and literally starts off with Coco. And that's the first words of it is Coco. I'm definitely a fan of hers. I've never really belonged to her community. Like I said, it was, my Japanese. You don't realize how limited your knowledge is, or I didn't realize how limited my knowledge is of Japanese until I watched. In fact, she was in the stream. She was doing a collab. And of course, her last stream, I wanted to just watch, outright, with everybody saying goodbye to her. But before that, the reason why I did not follow Coco, because I definitely liked the collabs that she did with others, and I liked the fact that they did have subtitles. But she uses words that I never learned. She uses words that are not in anime. And so I'm getting pieces of sentences and things, and it, the original thing is the reason why I don't tend to watch any Japanese streamers that don't translate or don't speak English. Doesn't it's because of that, because I'm there to enjoy the stream, and if I don't understand what's going on, and not only not understanding what's going on, I can't even read the chat. Yes, sometimes people post in English and stuff like that, but for the most part, all of the chats, with just scrolling, because there's just so many viewers, just scrolling by without even you don't even have time to see it. Whether how can I make out the kanji when I can't even I don't even have time to, by the time I'm reading one, I have to scroll down to the bottom. It's like, it's literally just scrolling by. And it, I've always been kind of like, this is just not, that's not for me. But I can definitely appreciate who Coco was, what she actually means to the VTubing community, and what she's accomplished in the short time, because it was not long. The short time that she was doing this, and I think back, not really think back, but when other YouTubers and VTubers talk about how they began, I actually feel kind of a connection. Yeah, it's, I am 5 months in, and I'm definitely not anywhere near the point of where most of the people who I see start. The two things that I've been told that I'm missing: I am one, not female, because I don't have the boobies, and I am not doing anything really all that exciting. I think reviews seems to be the thing, especially for the men of YouTube. You don't. I've not been playing games. I tried to do the picture in picture, and it's not working out not as easy as I thought it was going to be. And here I am. I'm just talking about myself. Talking about the things that I like, and things that I my thoughts, and hopes and dreams and stuff like that. I think that I maybe am a bit envious of people who have, like, 1,000 people in the chat, scrolling away, having conversations and stuff like that, which I could definitely dedicate any one of these streams to that. And see that for what it is, but I'm not there, and it is what it is. But I can definitely, when people talk about how they began and how much of a struggle it is and everything like that, I know that, and I like to think that if I just stick with it and just keep doing it and not compromise and not start doing the sensationalism that a lot of people end up doing, because I don't want to always try to one up myself to where it just gets to absurdity. I just want it to be this. There's lots of things to talk about. There's lots of things to do. Lots of things, there's so much to experience. And, like I said, talking about, my tiny little community that I have, that's why I started changing it to family, because it's small. And I maybe that's a good thing for me. I am not, I don't see myself getting, DMCA'd because I'm not monetized. When people say, be careful of your copyrights and stuff like that, it's just like, people, you can put a copyright claim on my videos. Like, what does that mean? It means nothing. Have a legitimate reason for the copyright. Obviously, when I was singing, that, you know, that does play a role in why I stopped making videos like that, because it's, those copyright claims, eventually, not I don't see a lot of people going through watching my old stuff. It's rare. I definitely would recommend it, especially now. Um, if there's a if I have a loud noise that you don't see me on it, it's copyright claimed. And I would love for people to watch all those videos all a million times. And because I'm not making the money from it, and if I was monetized, I might have to take those down. And be left with whatever videos I'm left with. And time goes on, I'm watching more and more and more of them getting copyright claimed. And I'm keeping up with it. So it is, like I said, it is what it is. It's definitely the benefit of being not monetized, that I can do, pretty much have free reign over the video. I don't, my videos aren't for kids, would never consider myself family friendly, even though I talk about family friendly stuff. And it is, everything is what it is. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in the community that I want to talk about, or anything else about communities. There's one community that I actually, I don't. I think that I'm shocking myself with how I feel like I belong to, and I worry that maybe I'm coming on a little too strong sometimes with how almost open I am with them, because I feel like I belong, and I'm there's a comfort level that I have with that community that I did 5 loud noises, because that's kind of crazy to me. The other VTubers and stuff like that I was watching before, I had ideas and things like that I wanted to do, and I was thinking that if they gave me some recognition, throw me a bone or anything like that I would produce those loud noises, because that seemed to be the direction that they would want. But I the VTuber that I watch, she's incredible, and and she does a lot of things, but she really is, I think that in a way, like I said, the envy is definitely there, because she slowly built it up instead of it being an instant, like some VTubers, they have an instant million subscribers. And what do you do with a million subscribers that instantly? You don't know how they're going to react, so you start doing sensational things, and eventually it'll burn you out. And I kind of worry that, like, maybe that's what happened with Coco, is that not necessarily a you got to stop doing what you're doing and you're gone, you're out of here, but more along the lines of she was getting a little burnt out, and maybe she had other things she wanted to pursue. I mean, none of it's been discussed, and the reason why I think a lot of that's not been revealed is because they don't want to tarnish the image of Coco. What people see. And doing live streams, just doing the few live streams that I've done. I mean, I'm on number 7 right now of Unscripted, and this isn't easy stuff. This isn't like you even without a plan, without anything else, just basically sitting down like I'm doing right now and turning the camera on and just talking, which is something that I do all the time. And I'm definitely a gabber. I definitely like telling stories and talking about things and ideas and concepts and crazy stuff. And I've been known to go on for hours, and switch directions and talk about other things, and all that crazy. You can see my ADHD in full effect. But I I'm actually known for that, and to literally just be doing this, standing in front of a camera, no feedback whatsoever, and nothing happening. I am what I it is what it is. I've had a few people come in. They're actually watching it for a few seconds, and then they're gone again, which I think is absolutely awesome, and I appreciate them being there. But it's I don't have that. When I look at like I said, I don't know. I don't believe I can mention who it is, and you can figure it out. But I'm very envious of that community that I'm a part of, because I don't have that, and maybe it's because I want it, but I like the fact that it's not something that just overnight she built up and she created. I mean, I became a fan of hers because of somebody else recommending her. And when I saw what she was doing, I really liked it. But the welcoming and the open armedness of that community is like it's something that I'm not used to. And again, here I'm envious of it, but I'm like going, wow, what would I do with it once I have it? It's a whole big catch-22. Yeah. Maybe I'm not ready for something like that, which is probably a good thing. Maybe I have to keep doing this. But there's a lot of work. And so here I am, like, talk about my attention deficit disorder. Let's talk about Coco. And, nobody really knows. I mean, obviously Coco does, and obviously Hololive does. Everybody who works at Hololive, and probably most of the other streamers know, the reasons behind it. But she was allowed to say goodbye, and that's very different than some of the people who were quote unquote graduated before her. One person only lasted a month. So, I mean, the people who graduated before Coco, I mean, the fact that they gave her all the stuff, I mean, yes, it could be because she is such a high profile client of Hololive. Client, right? I guess she's a client. VTuber of Hololive. I think she was the highest profile of them all. But that's probably why they gave it to her. So it could be any number of reasons that she said no. There are other number of reasons that she graduated. I'd like to think that it's like I said, making these things is not freaking easy. I'm doing it the most simplistic thing, and it is difficult. This isn't something that, I love doing it, but it's not. This isn't like easy. I'm still learning a lot. I'm still, basically growing. Finding my footing and stumbling all the way through. And I can only imagine, like, what happens after, you're basically doing it constantly, constant collabs, constant, your entire life is basically revolved around, you know, being a character, that's not you. And, like, she could be wanting to pursue other avenues. And, this is just the time. And it just, as sad and as, I'm pretty much heartbroken the fact that, there's, more than 1 million people out there that, including myself, that I'm not a regular viewer, not a member or anything like that, but I miss her already. And she's been gone one day. And it's kind of amazing to me that, like, these things happen, like it happened like that. I think that, I worry that this phenomenon that VTubers are, this is the first chink in that. And yes, a bunch of them have come and gone. I mean, I probably, if I made up an avatar and was a VTuber for a little while, I don't think that I would have lasted, because it would have just been it's easier. I know it's going to sound crazy. It would have been easier for me to go away, than for me to stick around like I'm doing. And I know that kind of doesn't make much sense, but I could easily go away with somebody, not knowing, not seeing my face. And if I wanted to pursue it again, I could just come back as something else with another avatar and have people doing like what they do with Gura. Speculating, is she this other VTuber who, basically, dropped out? And she could be. I don't delve that far into the things, but I don't think that they pull the people in Hololive out of nowhere. They don't come from, relatively. I don't think any of them come from any type of obscurity or anything like that. But I always wondered, like, with a person like Coco being gone, again, I'm not talking about unpopular VTubers or people who wouldn't, who didn't have a large fan base. I'm talking about, she was, pretty much the start. I mean, she wasn't the first, but she was definitely, one of the earlier ones. I mean, pretty much built Hololive. And it makes room for the other ones. She definitely was a force to be reckoned with. So it definitely makes room for other people to go other places. But again, I would love to find out what happens to her in the future. if she creates another avatar, um, or anything like that. Cigarette's not working. But yeah, I, I definitely, I wish her the best. I hope that, like I said, it was, very tear jerking her last video, which I wish I could have understood, um, understood it, and I wish I had a better connection so I could have watched it fully, and not wait for um, the video to pop. And now, because now when I'm watching that, I want the subtitles, so now I've got to wait for the subtitles to happen or people to clip things. But yeah, it is what it is. But I definitely, I don't feel bad for her. Like I said, I hope she does things, but I definitely feel bad for her entire community. And most of them probably had, two, three, four dozen. Once you go down the waifu rabbit hole, people tend to have a lot of them. So probably most of her community probably had, other things to view and watch and be a part of. But definitely, there's definitely going to be, the loyal, um, she's the only one for them type of people. And now they don't have that anymore. So I kind of feel bad for those. It's sad. Um, but and I worry worry that the community that I belong to, see, I'm treating Coco's community like the community that I belong to, the same way. And I worry that it's, what if that happens? You know, um, I don't feel the same with any other, with any other VTuber than the one that I'm watching. And I like a few others, especially the V Shoujo members. I definitely watch them a lot, but unlike them, their community isn't doesn't I don't feel like I belong to. And I think about where Coco's community was. It was a huge community. You know, if my little community, little is probably the wrong way to put it, but the community that I belong to, if that all of a sudden, 3 weeks, announcement of 3 weeks, and all of a sudden she's gone. I was having trouble when I can't connect to that community. um, I can't imagine what would happen if all of a sudden it's a countdown to the final days. And yeah, I would be very sad. And I I don't know if I would want to basically. I definitely wouldn't like jump right into another. Finding that type of a community already rare enough. Why would I try to jump into another one? Um, I am almost at the 2 hour mark, and just going on and on and on about it. But that's my take on the communities and groups and organizations and stuff like that. And I it's it I definitely think that the bad apples, especially in large, multi-million people organizations, tend to have a lot of bad apples. And when it seems like those bad apples are accepted, that's the big key. It's like it wouldn't be it wouldn't be as upsetting if the bad apples or the bad seeds weren't accepted um, into those things. And maybe that's kind of like talking about like a really weird way to put it. When when I'm looking to be accepted, but when they accept like horrible ideals and horrible thoughts and um, because everybody's got contrary views, and it's just like when like the acceptance of evil is a part of your organization. I mean, and not to put that in lightly, but it's one of the biggest problems that I have with organized religion. It's because people have converted what should be a basis of love, basis of understanding, into a reason to hate, the reason to separate, reason to and definitely a reason for me to not feel like I belong to it. And yeah, there could, like I was mentioning before with Father Angelo, he belonged to a billion person strong organization, and um, at, there are so many bad actors in that. I mean, even the Roman Catholic Church, has problems with their priest. It has problems all around, and I personally can't accept an organization that would allow that, cover it up, protect it in certain respects. And I know that they've gotten better over the years, but better is not where I feel like I belong to it. I don't share that. I don't have a common shared interest. And I got into relationships. Like I always say, the one common denominator in all my failed relationships is me. I'm in every single one of my failed relationships over the years. And knowing that it means that here I was with a person that I'm not invested 100% with. And that's a bad place to be. And it's really, 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 I mean, there's a difference between accepting a person for who they are, because you're definitely going to be two different people. Accepting a person for who they are and fundamentally disagreeing with them on where your pursuits are and where their pursuits are. And that doesn't make the person that I was dating a bad person, doesn't necessarily make me a bad person. It just means that we weren't compatible enough to stay together. And, I don't change. My nature, who I am, doesn't change just because I'm having a relationship with a different person. They change. The person actually, it's a different person that I'm dating, but I'm still the same person. Like I said, I'm the common denominator on the reason why the relationship failed. And I can accept that. As well as, I wouldn't want to be a part of an organization that doesn't accept me. Because not without accepting me, why would I? If you can't accept me for who I am, how can you expect me to accept? How can the organization expect me to accept them for who they are? They shouldn't. They should never. And changing me, change to meet that is just kind of like a really weird thing in of itself. So I'm going to end it here. I think I've made a conclusion. I don't know, maybe. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I hope when you watch this, everything is, going great for you. And so cool beans. All right. I'll talk to you soon.